Easy apple pie jam. Let me show you how. My name is Jersey. Today I'm going to show you a really good recipe. It's called apple pie jam. It's my recipe that I've been making for years. Let me show you how it's made. I make sure and wash the apples really well with our veggie soap. I'll leave the link down below. I have roughly 6 cups of McIntosh apples, our local apple orchard here in Tennessee. Got them from Pennsylvania, and we bought a big case of them. I like to make them unified, so I just use my OXO chopper and make them all about the same size. For this recipe, you'll add 6 cups of chopped or cubed apples. I have 1 heaping teaspoon of cinnamon and about a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. They go in now. Everything's going in except for the sugar. I squeezed lemon juice. I don't use the bottle stuff, so you need 2 tablespoons. Fresh squeezed lemon juice. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of my filtered water and 1 cup of apple cider. This is made from our local apple cider mill. And down here, where you can see the steam coming up, right down there, that's the well in my chambers stove. That's where I'm going to give the jelly a hot water bath. So let me turn on the flame. And we need 1 package of Sure-Jell. We add that now. There are some other recipes you add it last. Now we're going to add it, and we'll add our sugar last. I'm going to cook this on high. I'm not going to leave the area. I'm going to bring it to a full boil, and then we'll add 2 kinds of sugar. I have 3/4 cup sugar in the raw and 3.5 cups of pure cane organic sugar. Be sure to go to the blog. I'll leave the link up there. You can print this whole recipe out in a PDF, and the blog has a lot more information than what I'll be going over in this video. Let me bring this to a full rolling boil. I'll time it and tell you about how long it takes, and then we'll be right back. And we are back. It took about 8 minutes. And a rolling boil is when you stir it, it doesn't stop boiling. Now we're going to add our 3/4 cup sugar in the raw, 3.5 cups of pure cane organic sugar. And this doesn't happen instantly either. We need to bring this back to a full rolling boil, just like we did before we added the sugar, where it boils even when you're stirring it. That's a full rolling boil that you can't stop it from boiling when stirring. Once it becomes to a full rolling boil, time it about a minute. Might take more, but we'll check it with a spoon. I'll show you how to do the jelly test. Meanwhile, we still have our water boiling in there. That's where we're going to give it the water bath. That's perfect. I have it on high heat again, and just scrape some of that sugar off the sides because it will crystallize. You might as well capture it in the pot. This is probably going to take around 5 minutes. Let me bring it back to a full rolling boil. See that it's boiling now? But when I stir it, it stopped. You want it to not stop when you're stirring it. The jars just came out of the oven. I had them on keep warm, which is 170 degrees. The lids were washed in hot water, and they were also put into the oven. And then I have my magnetic tool, and then this goes around the perimeter to get the air bubbles out. Now, even though it's boiling, see how it stopped almost? We want a hard rolling boil that won't stop. You want to keep stirring it so it doesn't scorch. I do have almost high heat. Make sure you don't have any children or fur babies in the area. It just splashed my arm and burnt it. This does splash. And you need a tall enough pan, because once this starts boiling, it starts rising, and there is foam. You can add about a teaspoon of butter to this once it's done cooking. After 1 full minute of a rolling boil, it cuts down on the foam. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That's a rolling boil. It's still boiling as I'm stirring. Time it about a minute, at least a minute. And see, it's starting to rise already. You need a tall pan. This is a brass antique pan. I bought it from the lady. She said she made apple butter in it for about 50 years. I got it in South Carolina. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little, just to keep it going in a full rolling boil, because this side of our antique stove is like a commercial stove. I'm gonna do a gel test to show you. Once it starts dripping thick like that, or you could put this in the refrigerator or freezer, which I don't. Put some on there and let it cool for half a minute, and you'll see if it thickened up enough. I can tell it's not thick enough. This is one jelly I don't like to overcook, because then it gets thick and gummy. I don't care for that. I rather have it a little on the onset side, because Over the next 6 months to 9 months, it's going to thicken sitting in the pantry. It's getting there. See the jelly on the side? It's not quite thick. Let me check it again. I can tell just by looking at the spoon, it's thick enough. It's not going anywhere. And you can see over here, that's perfect. That is to the jelly stage. Now I'm gonna turn off my gas because underneath here on this antique stove, it's like a hot plate. It's gonna keep it nice and hot until I get all this ready. So I'm gonna remove this, put one final stir. I usually don't do this on the stove. I don't wanna make a mess on the stove. So we're gonna fill the jars up to about 1/8 from the top. And if for some reason it took too long, I could put it right back on that burner. That burner is holding a lot of heat. See the foam? You can cut it with a little butter. I'm not going to. So let me go ahead and start filling these jars up. Be sure and check out my other video, how to make jelly with and without pectin. I'll leave the link up there. And you just want to wipe the jar clean on the top with a clean, damp rag. If you have any food in there, I usually stick my finger in the pot of warm water. And I'm trying out a new canning jar lid. That's all they had at Ace Hardware. It's called Pure canning jar lids, and I'll let you know how these come out. You want to put it finger tight, not over tight. Then I'm gonna go put it right in the water bath. And here we have 5 half pints. This one we keep out. We always keep the oddball out. So this would have been 6 half pints and maybe a quarter of a little one. But this one I keep on this spot. There's a pilot light here. This will keep this hot for the next few hours when we have ice cream tonight. Be sure to check out the video and the blog, how to make homemade ice cream, raw milk. Going back to the water bath, these are gonna be in here 10 minutes. You want enough water, boil over the top. You can do it with the lid on or lid off, as long as it boils, it does not matter. I'm gonna put them on a cooling rack. And this is the wooden cooling rack that we made. We made a large one and a small one. I highly recommend, if you're canning, especially like I do in the winter, you don't want to take boiling hot jars and put them on a wire rack. It can crack. Ask me how I know. So we built these. You can make them with and without power tools. I'll leave the link up there, and also go to the blog. You can get a full cut sheet. These are going to stay upside down for 10 minutes. Then we're going to flip them over, and then you'll hear them seal. And in about 3 hours, once they cool, you'll be able to see if the center is pressed down or not. Remove the rings tonight, wipe them clean, and then store them in a cool, dark pantry, and make sure you label them and date them. And you might even want to put the ingredients in them if you're gifting them as a gift. Somebody might be allergic to some of the ingredients. And that's how easy this is. I love this small batch. Quick and easy. And during this winter, because we keep a lot of our apples down in the root cellar, I can make another batch again. I'll come back in 10 minutes when I flip these over, and you'll be able to hear them sealing. If you're new to canning, it's very exciting. It's been about 10 minutes. Hopefully you'll be able to hear them pop. Sometimes it happens as soon as you flip them over. I don't know if you have to do this or not. I've done this for 3 decades, so it's just something I'm familiar with. There it goes. There goes one. It was that one. Sucked down. I was just going to show you how it was up, and now the air sucked it out. Do not take these rings off until after they have cooled, because you could break the suction before it gets a chance to seal. You can add about 1/2 cup of nuts to your apples, and you can also add about 1/2 cup to maybe a cup of a good organic raisin. You would add them also at the time when you're cooking your apples before you add the sugar. I don't like either one in my jelly, but you can add them as an additive. And if for some reason after 4 hours it did not seal, just put it in the refrigerator. I do not ever rebatch my jellies. It's not worth it. Just gift it as a gift, put it in the refrigerator and eat, and consume within 3 to 6 months in the refrigerator. Look below this video on the Show More. There'll be a link to the blog where you can print out this PDF printable. Please hit the subscribe, the bell, all notification, and see you on the next video. This is Jersey saying have an awesome day.